The middle class is getting absolutely crushed right now. You feel it every time you go to the grocery store, every time you look at your 401k statement, and every time you think about buying a house. It's inflation eating away at your savings. It's taxes that never seem to stop climbing. It's debt that costs a fortune, and it's housing that feels completely out of reach. The harsh truth is this: the old playbook our parents handed us, work hard, save money, pay off your house, is broken. So if that doesn't work anymore, what does? Today, I want to walk you through 5 things the wealthy have used for generations to build real wealth, especially during times like this. This isn't theory. This is the stuff that actually works. Number 1. Stop confusing your stuff with your wealth. Why doesn't working hard and saving money cut it anymore? Because the game changed. Back in 1971, Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard. Since then, the government prints money to pay for things, which slowly makes the dollars in your pocket worth less. It's not a conspiracy, it's just economics. This is why you hear guys like Kiyosaki say savers are losers. He's not calling you a loser. He's saying that if you just hoard cash, you're betting against the system, and the system is designed to be inflationary. Your money needs to be tracking the economy, not sitting still while the economy runs past it. Let's break down assets versus liabilities, because most people genuinely don't get the difference. I know I didn't. Think about when I was a kid fresh out of college. Every time I got a raise or a bonus, what did I do? I went out and leased a brand new car. Felt great for about a month, but that car was a classic liability. It was worth less than the loan the second I drove it off the lot, and it kept dropping. I was paying money for something that made me poorer every day. Then I finally wised up. I started buying used cars. I'm talking 1 or 2 years old with low miles, right after they took that big depreciation hit. By making that one simple change, I freed up cash flow immediately. That's a tangible example of choosing an asset over a liability. Another big one? Cash itself. Right now, with inflation running hot, cash in your savings account is a liability. It's losing value. Things like gold, silver, or even water and timber, hard assets, tend to hold their value or rise with inflation. I'm not telling you to go dump your savings into gold bars, but you need to see the difference. Your goal should be to own things that hold value or go up, not things that are guaranteed to go down. Number 2. Get your education from the players, not the spectators. I say this all the time. Financial education is more important than traditional education, and I mean it. Think about your own school days. Who were your teachers? For the most part, they were good people, but they weren't wealthy. They were teaching out of a textbook, following a curriculum. They had knowledge, sure, but did they have real-world wealth-building experience? Usually not. The people you need to learn from are the ones actually in the game. They're the ones living it, making mistakes, and winning in the real world. You won't find them in a classroom. You find them at seminars, on YouTube, or maybe they're a guest speaker somewhere. Their stories aren't straight lines, they're full of ups and downs, and that's where the real wisdom is. A buddy once gave me great advice about lawyers. He asked, "Why are you using that real estate attorney? Does he actually own real estate?" I switched to an attorney who was a landlord himself, and the difference was night and day. The first guy was just pushing paper. The second guy understood the practical nuances because he was living them. This idea gave me a huge edge early on when I was in property management. I realized quickly that if I just maintained a property the way it was, I was replaceable. If I wanted to keep my job and move up, I had to add value. I had to figure out how to raise rents and cut expenses to boost the net operating income. That was survival. I wasn't trying to get rich, I was just trying to not get fired. But by focusing on creating value for the owner, I became invaluable. That's the core of financial education, learning how to make yourself and your assets more valuable. Number 3. Flip your view on debt and taxes. Most people are terrified of debt. I get it. But the wealthy see debt differently. They see it as OPM, other people's money. When you go to a bank for a loan, that money isn't really the bank's, it's the depositor's money. You're leveraging other people's savings to buy an asset. The key is understanding the cost of that debt, the interest rate, and the terms. Here's the magic. If inflation is running at 5% and I can lock in a loan at 3%, I'm essentially getting paid to borrow money. The debt is actually an asset because I'm paying it back with dollars that are worth less every year. That's how the wealthy get richer. They use cheap debt to buy assets that appreciate and produce income. And taxes? The wealthy don't look at taxes as a burden. They look at them as a signal. The government wants you to do certain things, so they give you tax breaks to do them. All you have to do is read the IRS playbook. Every year, they publish exactly what they want to incentivize. Right now, it's things like real estate, green energy, oil and gas, and opportunity zones. I'll give you a real example. I started investing in billboards, not because I have a passion for outdoor advertising, but because of a tax rule called bonus depreciation, which was passed in a recent tax bill. It allows you to write off a huge chunk of a land improvement in the first year. Guess what a billboard is? A land improvement. The math is simple. If I invest $1 million in a billboard, I can get almost 100% of that investment as a write-off against my other income in that same year. Meanwhile, I still own the billboard and it's kicking off 100 or 200 grand in cash flow every year. That's how the wealthy think. That's why they own jets and oil wells. They're using the tax code, which is legal, to keep more of their money. Number 4, buy stuff that pays you, not the other way around. We talk about this constantly. Cash flow is king. It's more important than speculation. Most people invest by gambling. They try to time the stock market or flip a house hoping it goes up in value. That's just luck. You can't control the market, but you can control cash flow. If I buy an apartment building today and I understand the numbers, the income, the expenses, I have a plan. I can work to raise rents and lower costs. I can control my destiny. Yes, I want the property to appreciate over time, but I'm not betting my future on it. The cash flow is my foundation. It's the paycheck my assets send me every month. So, what kind of assets should you buy? Start with what you know. I have a friend who's a mechanic. He started buying cheap cars, fixing them up, and renting them out for Uber and Lyft drivers. He understands cars, so he can keep his costs down. I have another friend who grew up on a ranch. He invests in things related to rodeos and livestock. It's not rocket science. You don't need to jump into a massive commercial office building. If you're a student paying rent, look for a duplex near campus and get your friends to rent the other side. Start small and stay in your lane. The biggest mistake I see people make is getting a little success and thinking they're good at everything. I've done it myself. I'm an expert in multifamily. I've spent decades in that space. But when I dabbled in commercial office buildings, I got humbled fast. It's a completely different animal. Apartments are full at night. Offices are empty. The tenants are businesses, not families. The whole game is different. My advice? Go deep, not wide. Become the undisputed expert in whatever niche you choose. Number 5, stop trying to be a lone wolf. Building wealth is a team sport. I can't stress this enough. I see so many real estate agents, CPAs, and business owners trying to do everything themselves. They don't trust anyone, so they stay small and miserable. When I'm looking at a deal, I'm on the phone with my lender, my attorney, my property manager, and my contractor. They all see the deal from a different angle. To think I could have all that perspective myself is just arrogant. You need a team. How do you find those people? Just be aware. They're everywhere. When I wanted to learn how to be a better husband and father, I found a guy named Charlie. He had 5 kids, and they all actually wanted to hang out with him. I asked him if I could buy him coffee once a month and just learn from him. He said yes. I did the same thing for business by joining groups like YPO and EO. I'm constantly texting and meeting with people who are ahead of me in different areas. They help shape my decisions. If you're sitting in the middle of a forest, all you see are trees. You need people who have climbed above the canopy to tell you which way to walk. A huge part of my partnership with my friend Ross is that there's no inequity of effort. We both bring value. When partnerships fail, it's usually because one person is doing all the work and the other just put up the money. Address those imbalances immediately or the partnership will crumble. If you're starting from scratch right now, buried in bad debt, what's the first move? It's simple, but it's hard. You have to ask for help. Sit down with someone who is where you want to be. Be totally transparent about your situation. It's embarrassing and it hurts your ego, but you can't see the path when you're in the middle of the trees. You need a guide. The system is designed to keep you working for money. But if you shift your mindset, get a real financial education, learn to use debt and taxes, buy cash-flowing assets, and build a strong team, you can flip the script. I'm not going to lie to you, this takes time. It probably took me a good 10 years before my passive income covered my living expenses. You have to be disciplined and committed for the long haul. But when you finally get there, the freedom to wake up and do whatever you want whenever you want, it's worth every single second of the fight. As always, I'm Sam, sharing the lessons I learned the hard way so you don't have to. Please subscribe to my channel for more such useful information. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.